Let's kick it old school! Old school essentials. The further adventures of the Thunderous Fury.
All right, it is the Further Adventures of the Thunderous Fury, session 68. Time for the recap.
Alrighty. The first thing that happened is Fundoc came back from his wandering around town and informed the rest of us just about how he was going to completely upend the local ruler by digging up dirt on all of them and then taking it to the Lady Harrowmoor using his agreed upon votes. I'm just so looking forward to seeing that. Use everybody else's votes to oust one member, and then, oh, wait a minute, if they're ousted, you then can't use their votes to oust somebody else. So that's going to be a delicate balancing act. But still, using their own votes and corruption to oust them, that's going to be so damn funny. But since Clintock came back, we realized that there were a couple of other people missing. Zofan and Basil Bessic unaccountably not there. We managed to track them down to the obelisk and learn some of their adventures, including apparently the parts where they lost most of their clothing. The spirit, of course, implores us to, redeem the staff of the apostle, and Karn immediately introduces her to proselytization so badly that the spirit actually backs off from Karn and dives down away from him. It wasn't necessarily a loss for either of them because I managed to at least understand that maybe there's something going on here he needs to worry about. We decide to try to fish out the stuff that we can for our poor companions who are missing so many items. And we managed to fish out a bag of marbles and some manacles. No. Don't imagine what that could be used for. You really don't want to think about it. Orion decides that maybe the obelisk could have some clues to this whole thing. So despite being warned that he could fall asleep, he decides to swim out, although with a safety rope attached so that they could pull him back if he does fall asleep. Well, he gets to the obelisk isle and finds out that despite what's going on in the weather everywhere around there, it's warm and sunny. But he doesn't manage to figure out much, but he figures out the whole thing is some sort of elaborate ritual, like we couldn't have figured that out from shore. So while Orion is playing around with the obstacle, a couple of brambles and a couple of drones show up and start a dialogue with Karn. Karn keeps trying to get them to the point, and they keep either dodging his questions or telling him to go away. Karn finally figures out that these guys aren't the nicest or politest of people, and something starts them, and his refusal to go away and ignore the subject ends up being a fight. There is some minor back and forth in the fight, mostly going our way. Fortunately, Orion manages to entangle all of them to start out with, but there's some minor going back and forth. The most notable part of the fight is Zofan managing to pants the antler guy, despite the fact that the antler guy, at least theoretically, has both of his legs adhered to the ground thanks to the entangle. But Zofan decides he wants pants so much that he breaks the local physics and takes his trophy off to the woods to dress in relative peace. Only, unfortunately, there is a visitor out there watching the whole thing. And
more like a voyeur.
A voyeur, there you go. He claims it's a visitor. And strangely enough, it's Og's body. The rest of us without Zofan managed to clear the fight, although not without taking some injuries from that damn staff, which also burns in green flame, but everything eventually goes out, and Og's body outs himself, is not even necessarily trying to hide, and we have a chat with him about what the heck he's doing out here, and he says that one of the things he reveals in the chat is the amulets that we got with his house symbol on it are not actually his, that there's something special about them. And sure enough, about the time he says that, a shimmering doorway appears, and he decides that, yes, that is exactly what he was here for. and heads out and says that the amulet holders can come in because that's exactly what the amulets are supposed to do. The rest of the people follow anyway because, hey, what the heck? Invite for one is invite for all, right? Right. In any case, it's a strange yellow portal with a strange yellow hallway with soldiers in gold plate mail in shimmering wools, and it leads to a massive auditorium with a satyr who in a shimmering gold suit, detecting a theme here, I think we are. And we find out that indeed, once the satyr introduces himself, that he is the Earl of Yellow, and immediately shows that he is a fun person and loves cleanliness because he puts Og's body over a dunk tank. Og's body has been apparently not just tromping around in the woods, but rolling around in the woods. Basil Bessix attempts to put Og's body in the dunk tank and fails. Orion hits and drops him in, and indeed the guy is well washed afterwards. Well, this turns out to be not just an Og's body thing, but something that everybody must go in and have fun at. So there are several rounds of joking. There are several rounds of dropping your companions into the drink. But it turns out as soon as you step out, all of the water evaporates. And indeed, you are absolutely clean afterwards. And not only that, the Earl of Yellow is giving out gifts for us being such accommodating guests. Among the more interesting gifts is Zofan picks up a shimmering pair of leather pants that somehow are still completely golden. Felix, it's unclear whether his scars were cured or not, but certainly they seem to phase in and out now. Maybe they exist, maybe they aren't. Who knows? Karn being Karn ends up with a knife that turns anything it cuts into cake, apparently being big on tempting the paladin because cake is Karn's one real weakness.
I think we've only tested it on food, though. We haven't tested it on items. So
We haven't tested it on things like wood, or that would be interesting. You stab an opponent and they turn into cake. Would you eat that cake or not? Interesting. All righty. Orion has to go, but his gift is returned memories, and he comes up sputtering because he remembers that, he remembers kissing the hag the first time because that was out of Fairy. But then he remembers he actually did it a second time in Fairy, and he is not happy with his past self over that one. Gontor has a dunk and comes out with the ability to produce anybody's favorite food, including animals. And due to that, he now has a goat follower, apparently, although it is notable that Basil Essex is distinctly considering goat jerky, because apparently that's a big thing in his training regimen.
Well, Basil asked if he had goat jerky, and he brought out a goat named Jerky instead. So we have this goat. And whether or not it becomes cake is yet to be determined.
Yeah. Speaking of Basil Essex, he goes in the cake and comes out with both arms of equal size for once. He isn't sure that he likes it and sort of goes back and forth with the Earl of Yellow about this. Obligingly sends him back to the just to see what the more definitive result is. And Basil Essex, of course, critically fails to save the second time. And sure enough, comes out truly believing that he trains both arms forever because that's exactly the way he's always done it. In any case, we're about done when a strange squirrely fellow with bags under his eyes comes in, and that is when the Earl of Yellow reveals that no, he has other guests and perhaps he should let us go and do something else. We leave. And unfortunately, of course, the whole place was in Fairy, so all of us have to make our respective saving throws to remember, except for Orion, who can apparently now remember stuff out of Fairy, even if he doesn't want to. So we go back to the Clashed Antler. Sir Rickon checks in with us and reveals that we were gone far longer than we expected, but is very, very happy that we are actually, relatively safe and sound. And what are you doing with that knife? Never mind. Basil Wilberforce finally realizes that he's high enough rank to become a guild master and goes looking for the guild, only to find out not only is there no guild in this town. There's apparently only one thief that he can find, a sort of cheeky female pickpocket named Bethel Birdsdale. They negotiate for a bit, and Bethel decides that, yeah, okay, this guy is probably overblowing his own accomplishments, but the contract is good, and if not, I can just steal from him and walk away. Of course, she doesn't say that last, but it's sort of implied. Well, sure enough, they come back and introduce her to the crew, where she manages to indeed make Orion a straight man as always, and surprisingly enough, flat out win an arm wrestling contest with Basil Bessick. Apparently those new arms aren't quite as good as the last one.
He's been training him every day, you know.
But they still aren't good enough to win. That was the end of it.
We learned from the Earl of Yellow, because I think we asked about the Droon, and we learned that their magic, his opinion was that they were brutish, but their magic keeps the cold prince away. You know, in the environment that is the Dolmen Wood, the Droon have some part to play and potentially mitigating a bigger threat of the cold prince. But the woman in the pond, like the Earl of Yellow wasn't aware of how, if she was connected or tied to that role that they play. So still don't know why she's in there, but we're more confident that it is not a bad idea to free her, at least from upsetting the ecosystem perspective.
Right. Kern talked to the Droon, decided that he liked her more than he did the Droon. So looks like we're going to be stuck with a questing paladin, at least for a little bit.
Yes.
I don't remember if you covered this, but we left when we were leaving. We ran into somebody else that was coming through, coming down the hallway.
Yeah, squirrely looking guy.
Yeah, and Hogel Broadmane from House Wackalick. Our characters don't know that, but as players, we know that is a person that is one of the brewmasters. And that would be something presumably Clintock would be able to discern.
Oh, that's right. Because Clintock went out and met all of them.
Yeah. So there are multiple brewmasters that visit the Earl of Yellow, which, I mean, he said as much. But we at least know that there was 2 in succession. Maybe happens pretty frequently.
We got the hint from Oxbody that maybe that's where he got his secret ingredient from. So yeah, that's another thing Clintock would probably really like to know.
Clintock got his deal with House Cobsworth.
Right. Yep.
All right. So it is the 16th day of Simswald. It is gloomy and cold out. You don't want to fight another gloom. Sir Rickon has said that tonight, perhaps, will be the meeting with Lady Harrowmoor, if you've been invited to Harrowmoor Keep, which is to the north. He has procured a cart with the horse so for you guys to travel up there so you don't have to walk.
Okay.
Certainly everyone is invited, to attend. She just wants to thank you for saving her daughter and all that good stuff.
We're definitely going.
Yeah.
Do we need to, maybe we need to get some livery, some sort of, something to look nice if this is going to be a to-do, a well-to-do affair.
Well, let's see. Clintock got some duds for some folks last time, didn't he?
Yeah. Most everyone has fancy duds. I think I'm trying to remember if there's anyone missing from that. Our new thief, and then I think that may be it. I think everyone else got new clothes.
Oh, from the tailor?
Yeah.
Okay. Forgot or I missed that session.
Yeah. What we should do is Clintock will proffer that you should take some of the fine brews with you. And at his suggestion, he will bring the cheapest of the brews, the Miller High Life of this town's brewing capacity.
The farmer brew.
So he'll see if he can get a keg, a barrel, whatever.
Pilston's Heartbreaker.
That's a proper beer name.
It really is.
That's one of the ones he makes.
Yeah.
Right? Pilston, the low-grade beer, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go for that.
Causes a delirious state of cackling and misdirected aggression.
Oh, great. So it's like conspiracy theorist beer.
What is called Pilston's
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, definitely not bringing Oxbody, since we know he's distributing Oxbody beer. So it looks like he's distributing fairy goods, which is never a good idea. Or at least that's what Orion would argue. John Doer's like, oh, it's good beer.
If there's time to do something before the party, presumably later in the day, I think, Zofan would probably just be drying. I don't know, all his clothes are dry because they were dry coming out.
Instantly dry.
Yeah. He might just spend some time just like getting used to his new pants, take him out for a stroll around town.
Okay.
Brought his stuff.
Yeah.
Basil, having been just utterly humiliated, is just gonna hit the barrels even harder, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
He will continue his training regimen, and he will like make find 2 barrels and create a makeshift kind of weight set.
Okay.
That's what he's gonna be focusing on. He might request about 10 pounds of goat jerky because he expects the session to be pretty hard.
Okay.
And every time like he finishes a set and Bethel Birddow like walks by, give her a look, like very obviously salty about it.
Okay. You're not able to get any jerky, but the old lady at the Clashed Antler will bring you out a cooked chicken, seared chicken. Pull some of the feathers off of it for you.
He might ask for 2.
Yeah, she will bring you 2. You got to keep up your strength.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's harder than it looks.
You're definitely making progress.
But I haven't sealed the deal. But we will see. Hard work always pays off.
So how long do we have before our meeting with Lady Harrowmoor?
Well, you guys will probably leave, while it's light and head up there, and then it will be dinner in the evening, and then Sir Rickon says you can stay. There's a place to stay at the keep if you wish, and then come back in the morning.
Okay, but how long do we have before we need to leave?
Probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours.
Well, that's definitely enough time to... John Tor has been frustrated from doing so with all these shenanigans going on. He's going to go out, try to sample as many brews as he can. Never mind that, getting drunk off his ass before meeting with the High Lady is a problem, but he's in a fucking brewing town, and he keeps getting distracted from going out and sampling all the brews. So that's what he intends to do. And Orion, having nothing better to do, is probably going to go play wingman just to keep John Tor from getting too south and getting back on time.
Okay. How much is John Tor going to drink? Is he going to drink, or is he going to sample a little bit?
He's not looking to get drunk, but, he is going to try to sample as many different brews in this place as he can.
Like going to a wine tasting, but you drink the wine.
Right.
Okay, let's see. We got all kinds of stuff here. Give me 2 D8 rolls separately and 2 D12 rolls separately.
D8, 8 and 7. D12, 9 and 11. Wow. Really went to the high end there.
You're able to get some of Pilston's Heartbreaker, which is a milky white ale that tastes of singed elderberries, which is pretty cheap. The other one is Tideland Cider. It's a sharp amber, slightly sour, leaves a tingling sensation on the palate.
Cider isn't real beer, but I guess I'll take it since I can't find anything else at the moment. A little sour, good. Sour's always good for a cider. You don't want them too sweet. Feels nice.
The beer attendant who is letting you sample the cider says, let me tell you something. If you wear a sock soaked in this cider, it relieves melancholy. If you ever get that.
Oh man, I've been so melancholy. I mean, I was kicked out of home with nothing more than clothes on my back and a backpack full of wine, and I had some really hard times. I mean, for an entire week, I ate nothing but oatmeal. But it's looking up. It's looking a lot better recently. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but the guys here have been looking out for me really well. It's so nice.
The effect it has is tranquil daydreaming, whereas Pilston's Heartbreaker causes a delirious state of cackling and misdirected aggression. Now, you'd have to drink at least more than one to have those effects.
And he's sampling. Okay.
You get a chance to sample Prigwort's Pure, a rich emerald green spirit with a flavor like woody salmon.
Well, I guess it's not beer, but Prigwort makes it, so it's probably pretty good, right? Whoa, what the heck did they do with their wine?
last one is purple absinthe, a spirit of utmost refinement, a purple mauve in color, tasting of bitter licorice.
An absinthe. I haven't had one of those since I got kicked out of Elvish Land. Wow. Okay. It ain't our terrain stuff, but this will definitely set off some things. Nice after dinner drink.
Okay, so you've had a drink all four of these as you are in, I believe it's Earl's Court. I think Zofan was there sampling fizzy drinks that time. So it's an area that all the merchants and stuff come together, and you can sample the drinks, and yeah, it's Earl's Court. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna make a con check for each one of these drinks.
Oh boy, what the hell is this guy's con? 15. Really good. So you want me to roll?
4 con checks.
First one is a fail. The second one passes. Third one passes. Fourth one passes.
Okay.
The first.
So the Pilston's Heartbreaker is the one that kind of hits you pretty good, and you definitely have a little bit of delirious state of cackling and misdirected aggression at this point. Kind of, you interpret that however you wish. So you're a little bit tipsy at this point. And there is an inebriation optional rule in the Dolmenwood Player's Guide that I'm using.
Nice.
Okay. Delirious state of cackling and misdirected aggression. Oh, that one's going to be fun to role play. Okay.
Karn has taken Basil, Wilberforce, and said retainers back up to the keep. Not the keep, the garrison. Something about he needs to go back over the Psalms of Cuthbert. He only got up to like 207 of 1,500 the other day. And he knows that Basil hasn't heard them all, so it's probably a good time for him to catch them as well, since some of the people at the garrison will have free time.
That tracks.
Sir Rickon, the 6 of you, and Friar Fieldgrave, who Sir Rickon has tracked down and has asked to join the group, because he was there as well. Now, granted, he really wasn't involved too much in the fighting, but he will accompany you guys as you make your way north up to Harrowmoor Keep. I guess you'd need one person to drive the cart. Is there anybody who has a skill? I mean, we're not gonna in a past life. Well, Clintock was a farmer, so he probably could do that if he wanted to. That might be kind of lowbrow for him.
Yeah, he will. He will offer somebody else that was suggested of him.
I mean, Basil was a sailor.
Yeah.
And if he, if driving a cart's anything like sailing, he'd be like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Oh no, Ryan has a better idea. He sort of arm bars John Tor and says, "Hey, John Tor, figure out what this is. It a horse or a donkey or an ox on the cart?"
It's a horse.
The horse. See what this horse's favorite food is. That's so okay. Hey, horse, what do you like to eat? Give the horse its favorite food.
Yeah, it snorts at you and whinnies.
But I mean, we could do it for the goat. So
right, that's because the Earl of Yellow told you what the goat's favorite food was, because he supposedly talked to it.
John Tor looks around and goes, I can't do it. He's not telling me anything, or at least I don't think he's telling me anything. Can I guess? Is it an apple or maybe carrot? Horses like sweet stuff.
Horses do like apples.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. We got this handled. Orion sort of face palms, uses his druidic spell list that he can pull off of to go speak with animals and ask the horse what his favorite food is.
Okay. He says pears.
And Orion will close with, if you follow that fellow, he'll give you more pears. And, if he acts like he's slacking, just nip at him a little. Now, Orion will not be translating that last for the rest of the group. But he's like, oh, John Tor, it's pears. So John Tor will produce a pear.
And the horse gladly eats it and looks very satisfied.
And Orion goes, now, John Tor, we can't have you picking fights with random strangers on the street when we're dining with the ladies. Go in front of the cart and keep walking until I tell you you're sober enough. In other words, the whole plot is to get the horse not only following John Tor, but nipping at John Tor when he gets too close. And John Tor running in front of the cart, basically. That's the whole
Okay.
plot here.
Yes, the horse will gladly follow you. Headed north out of Prigwort on the Harrow Road. So Rickon is in the front with his horse. John Tor is walking behind him, and Basil Bessex is manning the cart. Everybody else is in the cart. The friar will be sitting next to you, Basil, as you make your way to the keep.
So like about like 20 minutes into this, or like whatever halfway is. So whatever halfway is, Basil will turn to the friar and be like, "So this is my first time driving a cart."
You're doing quite well.
Thanks. I was nervous at first, but it's just like a ship, except on land and no masts and no sails, and the mechanics are similar.
Never been on a seafaring vessel, but if you say so.
Oh, they're great. It's much easier to get over the water than land, but I miss the sea. Driving this cart just doesn't do it for me.
Well, maybe one day you'll return and be able to get out on the seas again.
I hope so. And where will you go next?
He just kind of looks behind him, and he's got that sack full of bones that he's been toting around. I have more remains to bury before I return to the ferry roads.
Will that take you all over this world?
Oh, yes, I have a few more places to go. I mean, to give those a proper burial.
Ryan asked him how he remembers the ferry roads, because every time they've been in ferry, some people's memories have been tampered with.
He reaches into his pouch and shows you this tattered leather tome that he has. I make notes every time that I am in ferry. I made that mistake the first time. I just had a pile of bones and I couldn't remember where they all had gone, so.
Oh, wow. Easy solution. Just take notes. Huh. I mean, I feel like I won't need it anymore myself, but I'll definitely help others along with that.
You won't need to remember when you've gone to ferry.
Yeah, I got a blessing. Well, blessing. Blessing is a dubious word when dealing with the Fae, but I got a blessing from my Fae that I will remember things from fairy, including things I don't want to remember, let me tell you.
Wow, you haven't been here that long and you've already been blessed by the fairy.
Oh, you would not believe some of what happens to our funny little party here. He'll start, telling us some of the more shorter and interesting tales, raiding a hobgoblin's prison tower for a magic mirror, or sailing on a, suddenly getting sucked into the sea of shadows and having to bargain our way out. Not mentioning, of course, absolutely not mentioning how we bargained our way out and exactly what the cost was, because a friar would not be happy with that. I am running from the oppression of the ape empire and the various things that happened along that way. A little few traveling tales to make the whole thing a little more interesting.
He is certainly intrigued by your tales.
Basil, after some silence, Basil will ask him, "Do you have anyone to bury your remains?"
That's a good question. I've really not thought of that. I guess I will just return to the Dolmenwood as I once began.
Well, you seem to be fastidious in your work and your commitment to ensuring others get a proper rest or proper burial. Somebody should do the same for you.
Oh,
If the day comes and advancements are made, if you were able to send word out, I think this would be something that I would happily do, is to return your bones to the Dolmenwood, to a place of your choosing.
wow. Well, that's quite an offer. I
And
will
if it's
think on that this evening.
And if it's at one of the beer houses, I mean, that'd be pretty great too.
Yes.
I wouldn't have to go anywhere after I drop your bones off.
Now that is something I wish I could drink to at that point. I did locate the old estate of Remo Frother, if you're familiar, the Mossling, the strange dwarf that you encountered that unfortunately perished. He was actually from Prigwort. His house had been, I wouldn't say abandoned, but just sort of fallen into a bit of disrepair since the last time I guess he had left. From what I could gather, maybe 20 or 30 years had passed. There was no one there to speak of what had happened to him. There was no way to find any of his kin.
Did you just leave the bones in the front in the mailbox?
No, he had turned to fungus, if you remember at the time. I had buried there when we had gotten out of ferry, but on the small paper that had the strange contraption that he was building, I realized there was a sort of an address that had faded and had brought me here to Prigwort. Well, I was coming to Prigwort anyway, but his estate was full of dust and, well, it hadn't seen much, obviously, activity except for small animals that had gotten in. There were all sorts of odd trinkets and things. Apparently he was some sort of builder or crafter. I will let the Lady Harrowmoor know of his passing. Maybe the house can be used by someone. I don't know if his family is, from what I could gather, his family was not around. They have gone elsewhere. And the children who you had located with Violet have been returned or on their way to being returned to their homes.
Well, hopefully they stay there this time. They seemed pretty adamant about not leaving the church.
Yes, well, I think they were under that, whatever that creature was, that gloam's influence or spell.
Right. Or they just could be zealots in training.
Let us hope not. The trek is down, you go down this windy forest road. At times it's kind of narrow and the cart just barely gets through the road. And as you begin, it probably takes a couple hours. And I guess John Tor, as he's walking, so it feels like you have the feeling you've just awoken from a dream.
Okay.
The sky, it was dark and gloomy. The sky, it's overcast. There's a faint bit of moonlight coming down on the road. It is certainly dark at this point. And then in the distance, you can see, like up on a hill, the light from this keep. Very faintly in the distance, you can hear like a moaning, groaning noise.
Okay. John Tor comes around. I totally feel better now. I'm going to get on the car. Orion's not going to stop him. The joke has been played. Orion's not going to stop him. And John Tor decides to get on the car. So I think the beer wore off. But I'm hearing strange things now. Is that the absinthe?
It's probably the absinthe.
You all hear that. It's a weird, like, the noise would be kind of like really faint. Friar would say those are the noises from the groaning lock.
Groaning lock?
Yeah.
A lot.
Inland lake?
Like a lock of, yes, water.
And it groans.
Yes, it makes those strange noises. No one ever takes boats out on there. It is difficult to navigate.
Felix just says, it hungers for vessels then.
To put it that way, yes.
What happens when boats go out on it?
They're smashed against the shore or caught in whirlpools.
Is it like a big? We can only hear it at this point.
Yeah, you can only hear this weird noise. It's dark. You're on this, like this road. Like in the distance, you just see lights up on a hill. And he says that's Harrowmoor Keep. So as you kind of make the turn, as the road kind of turns, you see a wooden fence you would use to keep like livestock in. Very simple fence. And then you start to, as the light, there's some moonlight, you can realize that these are like this granite rock. So the road kind of turns and there's kind of an opening where the rock is like set in. And there's some grass and you see like a small, like there's a building, but there's certainly smoke coming out. Like there's some kind of building out here. You see a couple of the horses, and Sir Rickon kind of turns off the road, has you guys follow him, and goes up to this like gate, and you see a figure come running towards the gate. He's like, "This is the property of Harrowmoor Keep. Who approaches?" And he pulls out like a lantern. He's kind of looking.
It's the people who saved Lady Harrowmoor's daughter.
Oh,
We heard there's a party, and we've come to party.
I'm not. What is this trickery?
Sir Rickon, will you speak up for us?
I'm
please?
sorry,
You're not-
sir. He points to Sir Rickon's like standing like 10 feet from him, and he turns the light from. He's like, "Oh, my lord, I am so sorry." But he starts to. I apologize, Squire. Go ahead and let us in. Sorry, I didn't recognize you were there. So he starts to open the gate to bring everybody in.
Are you okay? Have you been drinking?
He says,
So John Tor can help you with that.
No. So they set the cart down, and up like 40 feet, you can see it's like a granite cliff. You can see the keep. And you guys kind of walk around and go up like this winding staircase that like, it's like a switchback that goes up. Sir Rickon kind of like, he talks to this squire or whatever. You can, kind of pats him on the shoulder, and he goes to lead you up. And Sir Rickon stands there and he says, before you go up, he says, "Be very careful. The steps can be slippery on a night like this. You don't want to fall." So you can see it is a pretty treacherous walk up to the keep. Slick stone, granite going all the way up, switchbacks. and you come up to like a double set of doors with the symbol of House Harrowmoor on it, and it opens. You're greeted by, you would guess a servant in livery, and he just kind of nods, "Welcome to Harrowmoor Keep." Lady Harrowmoor and is waiting. He opens the doors, and you kind of walk to the left, and you open another door, and you start walking through these kind of hallways, and there you can see like there's a fire going, there's a little bit of warmth, but this thing that strikes you is like it's very cold, it's very drab. There's some flickering lights. There's some, I guess, tapestries of the symbol of House Harrowmoor, and they look like they look like maybe battle scenes or something of a fight. Or hard to see because it's not well lit, and you're kind of like snaking back and forth through these hallways as Sir Rickon is kind of leading everybody. And as you know, when you went to Og's Bodies, right? It was like music and food and party. I mean, it was wide open. And then when you went to that other, this is completely different. This is like dark, damp, kind of a cold feeling. If there was a party going on, either it's long gone or it's some kind of party you've never heard of, or you don't want to be at.
Good to know.
So Rickon, pardon, he's gonna kind of like whisper, he's like, I thought there was supposed to be a party here.
There will be a celebration and a thank you in your honor. If you are looking for something more raucous or lively, it will not happen this evening.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't necessarily looking for that, but this place seems as cheerful as a mausoleum, and I've seen quite a few mausoleums. Is the lady well?
She is quite well, yes. Why? Why do you ask?
Just wondering.
You kind of make a turn, and then you step into a room. You realize as you're looking forward, it's longer this way than it is straight ahead. And you can feel a little bit of warmth. Like there's 2 fireplaces in here going, and there's a long table that has, a bunch of food on it, and everybody is standing waiting for you. The table is like 20 feet long. It's made out of some kind of oak. At the head of the table, the far end, is a woman with black curly hair and wears like white vestments, like she is like a cleric, almost like a cleric. But if it's a religion, you're not sure what it is. It's not obvious.
Got it.
And she stands up. Next to her is a small little girl with a smarmy look on her face, who is in like a blue dress standing there. And next to her is a man who's like balding with like a hook nose and some glasses. He's wearing like a suit. And on each side of the table are knights that look like Sir Rickon at the House Harrowmoor symbol, and they're all standing waiting for your arrival.
Do they give off do they appear solemn, much like the atmosphere, or do they seem like they were at least comfortably there?
Gauging from their reactions, anywhere from solemn to why do we have to put up with this shit? Like, this is the last place I want to be, is sitting at a table eating a formal dinner with a bunch of people we don't know. I could be training right now.
Right. Wait a minute. Did we? I can't remember. Did Clintock convince people to bring some beer with him? Maybe we can.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And behind Lady Harrowmoor, like to each side, are 2 individuals who are sort of like strategically placed. So the room is lit, but it's not like it's bright. Like there are dark places, there are shadows, and they are just standing sort of in the shadows. They are not knights, but they seem to be flanking her either side. They're probably like 15 feet from her. She's not too far from the wall, but they're standing back against the wall, kind of like blending in.
The local bodyguard.
And Lady Harrowmoor is like, welcome, come in. It is a pleasure to see you all. As she's like she's just kind of looking, like eyeballing everybody. All the knights kind of shuffle to the end on the side as to let you guys sort of, no, they would separate. So there's a seat in between each one.
Okay. So we have knights on either side of us.
Right.
Great. Paranoid nuts? Never mind. Don't say that out loud.
There is obviously a seat on either, like she is sitting at the head of the table. Her daughter is like to the side. You don't suspect she is going to stay. And her husband seems to be the same deal. He's kind of like standing. And there's a seat on either side in front of her that one of you guys could take. So, and then there's you know what I mean? One of you could sit right next to her on either side.
Got it. Clintock will make sure that he sits next to her.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. John Tor and Orion, remember creepy little remember a creepy little girl and how she acts. John Tor especially is going to pick the seat furthest away from the creepy little girl.
Okay. Is anybody else going to sit close to her?
Orion will wander up if nobody else. He's always looking. Seems like there's some sort of story here, so, or at least some interesting motivations going on in the minds of all concerned. So he's going to wander up and see if he can't keep an ear on it, especially since he likes to collect Clintock stories, and there's one ongoing.
Okay. You all like standing there. She thanks you once again. She says, I hope this evening, this humble meal here can at least pay back what you have done. I hope that you have received your just reward for what you have accomplished. Sir Rickon has told me all about what has happened. She kind of looks, she's like, it's unfortunate that I believe a few are missing this evening.
Karn decided that his newest disciple had not sufficiently memorized the works of St. Cuthbert and dragged him off to continue the recitation. And Basil Wilberforce appears to have picked up a follower. Maybe he is going over things with her.
Either way, we promised we'd bring leftovers.
Yes, so we shall make sure that you get some food to return to Karn, and please tell him that I have spoken to the church about this St. Cuthbert. Unfortunately, the church lost its way at some point, and many of the shrines and temples to the various saints were lost. I have told them that to add St. Cuthbert to this list, maybe his shrine can be found here in the Dolmen Wood and restored as it should be, along with the others.
Karn will be very happy to hear that St. Cuthbert word, as it were, is spreading. You made his day, I can tell you that, even at a distance.
He is obviously with my sister, watching over the garrison, and for that I am thankful. And she says, Violet, would you like to say something? And Violet says, yes, thank you for saving me, rescuing me from the bad creature. And she gives like a curtsy.
Merely saving you from becoming a dentist, my dear.
John
Do you
Torque can't
remember
keep
the
his
tooth
mouth shut.
collecting?
John Torque, can't keep his mouth shut at this point. What do you mean saving her from did an awful damn good job while she was there.
Yes, quite a traumatic experience for young Violet. I thank you. Rupert, would you escort our daughter? She has studies to do, and her husband, you would assume, gets up and leads her out. These are the knights of House Harrowmoor.
Has there been trouble at previous dinners?
She kind of looks over at you and then looks at the food and says, no? With what?
Oh, it just seems slightly unorthodox to have the knights sit in between each of the guests. But perhaps that is just a custom I'm not familiar with.
They are here to dine in your honor, of course. I figured that us in two separate groups would not help with engagement of any kind of conversation.
It's a fair point. I look forward to meeting and getting to know more of your soldiers.
Yes. Well, you've already met one. Sir Rickon has done a standout job. We are very happy here at House Harrowmoor what he has accomplished. Sir Rickon looks very uncomfortable.
Yes, he's a good fighter and he's loyal. And, those are two very prized qualities in a knight. So certainly an exemplary example.
There are some looks from the other knights like, really? Oh, okay. You don't say.
Clintock pipes up and says, Sir Rickon, don't be so humble. Stand up, take a bow.
Sir Rickon very sheepishly kind of stands and he takes a bow, and you can see that there are matte patches on his head where the hair is missing, and he's like, Lady Harrowmoor stands up. She looks over it. I believe Clintock is your name, correct? Well, I apologize if you are a lord.
Lord Clintock, but no need for the niceties here. We're all equals among this table, except for you.
Oh, thank you for this segue. I appreciate this very much. Sir Rickon, step forward. And she just, he steps forward. Considering what you have done and the acts that you have, and your bravery that you have portrayed in House Harrowmoor, you are now fully restored as a knight of this house.
Ooh,
And she says, you have been now appointed a squire, Johann, and he will accompany you. And all the other knights stand up, He says, thank you, lady, I appreciate it. And he goes back and sits down. There's a bunch of food on the table. There's cured veal and white beans. There's barbecued crab legs, cabbage and tomato soup, and good old jellied lamprey It's some kind of funky like moss thing. There's like a big plate of it, a big bowl of some kind of like moss. It looks like moss.
Ryan will ask, he says, what's the greenery in the middle there?
Oh, that is troll moss. It is very delicious. And one of the knights just grabs a big spoonful and like puts it on your plate.
Sure, why not? How delicious is it?
It's sweet and it is sweet and sour moss.
Sweet and sour moss.
It tastes like
Nice.
it has the consistency of what you think moss would taste like.
Oh, great. Good flavor, iffy consistency. Gotcha.
So, well, I hope you don't mind. She brings out some like fizzing ale, some Cobsworth Pale for this evening, if you would like.
I did enjoy the Cobsworth.
Clintock pipes up. But what about House Pilston's ale I've brought for everyone? What is good enough for the common people of your land is surely good enough for all of us.
If that's what you prefer, Lord Clintock, yes, we could partake in that as well. Pilston's Heartbreaker, I believe, is what they call it.
Roughly, how high is Lady Harrowmoor's charisma?
How high is her charisma? That's a very good question. Does she actually have a stat block? Let's see. But I've got a picture of her. I'll let you decide. There's a picture of her in the campaign book, but I decided I wanted to keep with the style. She seems pretty charismatic.
Clintock will just keep that in mind for the rest.
Everybody would know. It's like, just there's plenty of food. She barely has anything on her plate. Like, she's got like a little cup of soup, a little bit of the veal, like on a little small side plate that she's just kind of nibbling at.
Felix is going whole hog on the jellied lamprey at a level that like is concerning to everyone else.
Yeah, they don't mind that, but they do look over at him curiously a couple times as his image sort of fades in and out, and they do the thing with the chairs, when you scoot your chair over.
Yeah.
They do that like So two of the knights are like, this dude, what is up with him? And it squeaks on the ground, on the floor. Yeah, they're not gonna stop you. You can eat as much food as you want.
Guntor is having one of his food moments, like he had back at the bar / eatery when he finally got off of his oatmeal diet. He's like, oh, this is all so good. I love it all. Well, maybe not the troll moss. What is this jellied stuff? Looks like Felix really likes it.
This is fantastic. Does Lady Harrowmoor, does it look like she wants us, like she wants to be there? Or does she look like this is, like everyone else kind of has this air of like not really wanting to be here? Does she could give off the same impression?
She certainly doesn't give you the impression that she's No, she doesn't get off the impression like, what are you doing here? Are you ready to leave? She actually seems very engaged. Like she's definitely attending to what you guys are doing. She's definitely playing the host.
Okay.
Now, is this an act? Like, is she used to doing this because of her status? Yeah, probably. But she definitely doesn't give off the air like, what are you guys doing here? Are you ready to leave? You just eat your food and get the F out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, Clintock will wait until after everyone's made niceties and is eating the food. He's eating the veal and will say, you've provided us with such an excellent meal this evening. It would appear that you're used to holding court. Does the council visit very often?
The council. When there are council meetings, I go to Dolmenwood. It is it's sometimes can be difficult to get all of them to arrive here, and the stairs and the trip can be very treacherous for even the most fleet-footed at times. So it is much easier for myself to go to Prigwort and meet with the council.
You can also check on the state of the city, I assume?
Yes, I can. Seems the accommodations are fine there. You seem to be enjoying yourselves. It looks as though you have visited, I believe there's a tailor in town. Those are very nice matching outfit you have gotten, a fashionable array.
Yes. His handiwork is most magnificent. I can't say much for his demeanor, though.
Yes, he is an eccentric sort, that is for sure.
Eccentric is, I would say, rude very much.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes those that have a particular skills set can be quite obtuse. But I assure you, he does fine work, and it is just don't let his demeanor detract from his abilities to craft such finery that you are wearing.
Never would I let that get in the way of such things. About your council, though, how much faith do you have in them?
The brewmasters seem to be doing, I would say, a good enough job in Prigwort.
Do you trust that they are they're on the up and up, that they are upstanding.
Surely have the best for Prigwort in mind. What do you mean exactly?
Well, it would appear as if the conflict to be the quote unquote best brew house of Prigworts has made them, shall we say, weak in moral composition.
Oh,
I don't bring you these words. I bring them with a heavy heart, for I have been in Prigworts for, I don't know, no more than a few days. And as a lord is wont to do, I have introduced myself to all of the notable people in town, in this case, many of them being the brewmasters. And I found that they're very quick to ask and offer rather discreet and unsavory services. Most of them, not all, but most. Are you aware of any of these things?
of course, I have heard many a rumor. Though I am not in the town, I do have those who pass information.
Little birds, so to speak.
Yes.
One of my reasons of coming here this evening was to make you aware of this information in hopes that I could rely on you to do what's best for the town. And now I know I am nobody, but in the short time I've been in this town, I've met many a likable soul, and I'd like to see the town maintain this honor. If it would be, well, if the lady would approve, I would like to give you an opportunity to witness the crimes on offer from your council members.
My, I'm listening. What is your plan?
Well, you have a council meeting coming up,
Yes, I believe I do.
and if I was to reveal the unlawful conduct of each of these council members in turn, I ask that you consider their replacement.
Well, the brewmasters have held a lot of power in Prigwort for many years, even before the days of my father. So disrupting that may send second or third effects that maybe you, or of course myself, would have to consider.
Well, let me put it this way. I've already bought their votes. Now, I don't intend to make good on any of these deals, but those secondary and third effects, they would happen anyways. Without me there, somebody else would give in to the power that is on offer from each of the brewmasters.
Well, you have bought their votes. That is surprising.
I was surprised myself. I believe some have already even committed most heinous crimes, those of thievery and racketeering.
Well, Prigwort stands at the edge of where the Cold Prince, where the Nag Lord to the north prevails, sowing discord in the town. I do not wish to compromise its defenses, but I don't wish to have brewmasters running the town that are corrupt or can be corrupted. That will also put the town in jeopardy.
It will indeed.
Well, the council meeting today's the 16th. On the 21st of Simswald is the next council meeting. I assume that you are going to be in town. Your group is here for a bit.
Oh, I intend to attend.
Basil's really into the veal, but Zelfan is just kind of listening intently. Like he stopped eating and is just kind of like focusing on this conversation.
Ryan is, of course, very carefully listening and knowing this is another Clintock story in the development.
I will give this certain careful consideration.
Yes. In the meantime, since it is a handful of days near, if there are any services that we might render for you, please let us know.
I will do that.
On a sort of tangential note, Orion will start up. One of the things that has perhaps delayed Karn is something interesting we came across. There's an obelisk out in the woods, and he'll name the approximate direction and distance. And a spirit trapped in there which begs people to redeem the staff of the apostle. What can you tell us about that? Is this something we should be paying attention to or running away from?
There are strange and mysterious things that are in the Dolmen Wood. I have heard tales of this woman in the pool in this water, but I do not know what her motivations are or why she is there. I've heard travelers and adventurers speak of this, but
the Droon were apparently both our downfall, and they're currently her captors, as it were, keeping people away from the pool. Can you tell me a bit about the Droon? Are they real powers locally, or are they just, as it were, posturing? We've heard different things.
Oh, they are definitely powers. They hold many occult magics.
Ah, yes, including their ability to make shrubs that move.
They were necessary at the time to banish the Cold Prince.
Do they still actively keep the Cold Prince at bay, or are they just a visitor that's worn out its welcome?
No, they have been here for a long time. They have very strange ways, but they're the last remnant of the Triple Compact that expelled the
The
Cold
last
Prince from.
remnant?
Yes, it was. Well, the church has sort of forgotten its role in it, and those in Brackenwold seem to have forgotten as well, but the Droon have not. I guess what I can tell you is I am unsure of what this woman is doing in this pool and what the Droon are doing with her.
But you said the last remnants of the Triple Compact. Does that mean the other two, I guess, have fallen?
No, the church and the Duchy of Brackenwold are still there. Over the years, they have sort of forgotten the significance of what was done.
That seems problematic. It seems like a recipe for the Cold Prince to get an icy toe into the land again.
Yes, yes, it does. So basically, she will tell you that this triple compact was like 800 years ago.
Well, yeah, okay. Good reason for things to fall off. Okay. Well, I only ask because our companion Karn, being, well, a paladin and being who he is, has decided that perhaps the woman is in need and not apparently evil, and so he has somewhat taken it in his mind to see if he can restore the staff of the apostle, whatever that means.
Maybe there's something in the library that would give a hint on what this is.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Would you grant us that favor that we could peruse the library?
I may be able to do that, yes. It is certainly not something that is given to all guests, but this is sort of a special occasion. All right, anything else you want to ask her?
Not my characters.
No, not particularly.
Felix, after he's done stuffing his mouth with jellied lamprey, half chewed mouthful, he asks, is there any word I can give the Lord's 3 moons waxing?
I'm unfamiliar with this lord, but if there's a message you need to send to a lord, then we will do our best to send it to him.
Oh, no. I meant for you to send him. He was very noble.
Oh.
But one of his humble knights.
She kind of looks at you. Yes, that we appreciate any help we can get, and to thank him immensely for what you have done. Hopefully, you will receive great honors and tributes from him.
I will tender this message next I see.
If you wish, I will write you a letter and a sealed note you can hand him.
He would appreciate that much.
One of the servants comes over and collects her little plate of soup that she has been kind of like sipping on. And she whispers in her ear, takes the stuff away. It'll be prepared before you leave.
Ryan goes, I couldn't help but notice your appetite seems to be a bit off. Are you well?
Oh, I appreciate your concern, Orion, but I'm usually at the center of most conversations, and if I come with a healthy appetite as well, I cannot do both. So I usually dine before the actual dining and make sure that I've had enough to eat and I'm satiated and just nibble a bit and be able to carry on conversation.
Yeah, that makes excellent sense. I would feel bad if our hosts were under the weather. I'm glad to hear that you're well.
Well, I'm certainly much better than Violet has been returned.
Has she given you any trouble since she's returned? She was quite adamant about not accompanying us back to the keep, and we were sure that it was some sort of just spell that she was under when she was taken, but
she is very stubborn and difficult to deal with, which I hate to say does not fall far from the tree.
Another thing that does not fall far from the tree. Of the children there, she was distinctly the leader. It must run in the family.
she hasn't attempted to leave or return.
No. Oh, no. She's been, of course, obstinate and difficult as usual, not doing her studies, not wishing to go to her bed at proper time for rest, the usual things.
What does she prefer to do opposed to her studies?
What children do, games of nonsense.
That makes sense. But it seems also an important skill. These games never quite go away when one enters adulthood.
If one only had the luxury. But I hope that you've had enough to eat. I will definitely prepare some food for you to take. I assume you are staying this evening here in the keep. There are some modest accommodations that have been provided for you to rest.
It's most
Yes, if perhaps not the whole night, but I will be spending at least some time in the library with your gracious permission, in order to look up this obelisk and surrounding things.
Yes, I think access to the library is appropriate.
imagine we will stay here. We will stay here the night. It is, it's getting late and the path is treacherous.
It can be, especially this time in these days.
So, and then we'll probably depart sometime on the morrow.
Clintock leans in and says, I'm quite interested in the history of the Dolmen Wood. Would you mind offering me a tour of this keep? I imagine it's filled with all sorts of tales.
Tour of the keep. Lord Clintock. Yes, I believe I could give you a quick tour if you wish.
Oh, yes. I don't want to keep you up all night.
Clintock's going to get a tour. Orion is going to go to the library. Is anybody else going to do anything else?
Felix will offer if any of the guards look like they're interested. Be like, if any of you need to practice your blade, I'm more than happy to practice sparring this evening.
Yeah, one of the knights would certainly take you up on a little bit of, sparring, especially after having to sit, in this stupid thing all night, realizing, hey, I'll get some swings in, man.
You should take Sir Rickon now that he's back to his full knighthood and he can really strut his stuff. Show the others, a measure of his quality.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
No,
Yes.
I'm not. You should go and spar.
Clintock
Okay.
pipes up and says, yes, of course, you must.
Oh, yes, I guess the evening still. I can speak to my squire in the morning. So she dismisses everybody. Okay.
Dontar will look over at one of the knights before they clear out and go, I'm not ready to turn in. It's been a good day so far. You guys drinking around here? Maybe we can tap that keg that Sir Clintock brought.
Might have better luck with some of the squires on watch.
Oh, sure. Where do they hang out?
Supper, the dinner sort of ends. She dismisses everybody. Thanks you once again. She will accompany Clintock around the keep. Those two guys in the shadows kind of follow. You realize they're following her the whole time. They're usually like 10 or 15 feet away from her. A couple of the knights will take John Tor, and a couple of you see that like a couple squires are following these guys, and a couple of the knights go back out those steps all the way back to that like corral where we brought the horse in.
Okay.
And definitely we'll have a couple drinks with you there.
Well, John Tor is going to be showing off his new ability. What's your favorite food? Oh, yeah, I just got this neat trick from this cool guy known as the Earl of Yellow. Yeah, I know. John Tor loves digging his own verbal graves, but that's him.
All right.
Like, yeah, Poof, you have your favorite food. Did you know the horse likes pears?
Like, what? So yeah, these squires are out here sort of guarding the corral, and there's a couple knights down there with them. They're getting a couple drinks in. John Tor is pulling the favorite food tricks, which they seem to enjoy.
I just realized we missed an opportunity to take the knife that turns everything into cake and then be like, just admire how delicious the cake is. Wow.
Yeah, but who knows? It might only work for Karn. Fairy gifts tend to have restrictions like that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, just generally.
So Sir Rickon takes Felix. You guys walk down some steps. You leave that room. You go through like this big curtain that gets pushed aside, and there are some steps that lead down, sort of like to a basement.
Gotcha.
And you take like a tunnel. It's like 60 feet, and you come out to like a small little. You open the door, come out like a small living area where you realize this is like where your accommodations are.
Okay.
So there's some extra beds in here, and you can see that this is kind of where the knights hang out.
Yeah.
And so there's an area, they've kind of set up an area outside to do some sparring.
Got it.
So you realize like you're outside, and then you look up and you're like surrounded by the rock, but that you can see the keep up on the hill. Let's see. One of the knights will escort Orion to the library. As he goes down a set of steps, and you see he gets like a key from under his, it's around his neck, and he unlocks this, like this door. This wooden door that's iron banded. You got to kind of hunch down to get in, and he lights a few lamps. And there's a lot of dust down here, but the shelves are full. I mean, they're all like books every which way.
So Ryan will look at the disorder and basically and say, I realize just how foolish this question might sound, but I don't suppose there is a master index or some organization to this.
No, not in particular. What are you looking for?
Just what we were talking about at the table, the obelisk and the lady spirit imprisoned in it, and if not, maybe more generally works about the drones, since they are definitely responsible for that.
Okay. So yeah, he's like seems to like wander through the stacks of books and instantly like starts. It looks like it's in disarray, but obviously for somebody who goes in here, it's not. So it's, it's their organized chaos. So he starts
Right.
grabbing a bunch of tomes out and setting them on a table. He's like, probably through here, if you should find some information, maybe what you're looking for. And he kind of like grabs a book and starts flipping through, almost like he's helping you.
Okay, darn, I was hoping he would go away and I could snoop a little. Oh well, can't have everything.
Well, probably at a certain point, he'll get tired and leave.
Okay.
So Clintock, she kind of gives you a quick tour of like the first floor. She points out the different tapestries, talks about her father who, was here at the keep. She mentions the struggle with the Cold Prince that happened so many years ago and talks about how her father, that was passed down to him and how important it was, to remember what had happened during that time. It's not very stylish. It's very kind of Spartan. Shows you different areas like the servants area and where the knights hang out. And she takes you up to one of like the guard towers. Like the guys that are following her, similar garb is up in the tower, like manning I wouldn't say it's a ballista might be a little bit too, it's like a heavy crossbow.
Sure. Okay.
You realize they're really not armored. They wear just regular, just like a tunic, just they don't seem to be carrying any kind of weapons. To show you the view, pretty much that's all she's doing. She says, if you look back this way, you can see the lock and, in the distance, there's the, Prigwort is that way, and kind of gives you a quick history about how her great grandfather built this near the Groaning Lock and stuff like that. I mean, I guess that's what you're looking for.
Sure.
But you're probably going to bend her ear at some point.
Yeah, I will. I'll first start by asking her. So, why did your grandfather build so close to the Groaning Lock? From what I understand, ships may not travel on it, or at least they don't these days.
He found this particular place very enchanting. There's sort of a charm to it, which at the time I did not seem to appreciate, but now as I've gotten older, I definitely enjoy. I definitely understand.
All things do start to have more charm as they age.
Yes.
I noticed this evening that you had quite a few guards at dinner, or well, knights in your service. Do you normally dine with that many, or is it merely precautions?
Sometimes, usually the leader of the knights will dine with myself and my family. They usually are on their own schedule. I don't make them show up, but this was a special occasion. I felt that it was proper and, in good service that they should be there.
Well, I pardon and forget that I even mentioned it if this is something you'd rather not discuss, but where is Violet's father?
Oh, you didn't see him earlier?
No, I sort of just zoned out.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on.
Maybe I assumed he was a servant. I apologize.
He does sort of have a plain demeanor at times.
He did mention him, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Oh, yes. That is not something he enjoys to do, so I do not make him suffer through it.
Was it an arranged marriage, might I ask?
An arranged marriage. If you said my father had chosen him, I would say yes. Of course I accepted.
But do you choose him on this day, on every day after?
I would say so, yes. There are certain qualities he has. These are certainly personal questions, Lord Clintock.
Well, I just assumed that it must get lonely here at the keep with so few people here outside of your guards and your rather plain and unassuming husband. While your daughter Violet is quite charming, I assume that you must want for some adult conversation from time to time.
Oh,
Oh God, was he seducing another one?
I do not mind, yes. I don't mind the conversation. There are, of course, many things to learn in the library. I spend a lot of my time reading some of the old tomes and history of the Dolmen Wood, but I am not one to partake in too much idle gossip or chatter about things that do not interest me.
Ah, yes. A woman of not much frivolity.
No,
But what is your favorite book that lies down in the library?
it's her favorite book. Let's see if I got a book generator here. Yeah, I do have 100 and give me a D100. I'll tell you what her favorite friggin' book is.
So many strange tools.
82.
She says, A Tale for Two.
That's what, a love story?
Not quite. More a historical account of events.
I see. You did say that you do love the history.
Yes.
Well, as I had mentioned, me and my associates will be in the region for the foreseeable future up until the council meeting. If for whatever reason you would like us to retrieve something from a library that maybe a book that you do not have, I'd be more than happy to procure such a book for you, as my specialty is in the realm of procurement.
I will definitely think on that as well as your other offer.
By all means. Well, the night is quite nice. I should retire, and as well as you should. I'm sure your husband waits for you in the bedchambers.
Ah, yes. Hopefully our children are fast asleep at this point.
As they should be. And then he makes a deep bow and wanders away on his own.
Okay. She kind of watches you leave, and then like one of the servants kind of catches you and says, Lord Clintock, you to your accommodations.
Oh, yes. I hope they're quite nice.
The best that we could do.
Oh, well, I'm sure it'll be fantastic then. I would expect nothing else from the lady.
So leads you down some steps through a door and a tunnel out into sort of where the knights are. So it's kind of, there's a bed and there's just a place they've got some clean sheets and stuff, but it's kind of like an open bay.
He looks to the servant and says, if I was to offer you, what do you make in a week?
Bribing the locals already, all right?
I mean, not much, but it's not about the money. It's in the service to the house, of course.
Well, of course. But you must enjoy yourself, some things outside of your work.
Yes, when I can, sometimes I can get to one of the feasts at Prigwort every once in a while, but.
Is this person a man or a woman?
Man.
Well, lad, let me put it this way. Would a gold find me better accommodations for the evening? Maybe someplace with a hearth of my own, and need not share with others.
I don't think gold would be the issue. I don't really think I could find any. This is the accommodations we usually give to those who visit.
Are there no additional spare rooms in the family's quarters?
Not that I know of, no.
That is rather unfortunate. But since I did mention it, I do think you're owed it nonetheless. Share it amongst the rest of you. And he hands him a gold piece.
Oh, thank you. And he says, well, you take that bed right there. That's probably in the best shape.
Oh, well, thank you.
You hear some noises outside, but it's Felix and Sir Rickon
Sparring.
So this is kind of like where the knights hang out. This is like their area. We get late into the evening, like past midnight. And Orion, you're, going through these books and stuff. And
Okay, let me tell you the plan. I mean,
okay,
if this guy decides to leave me alone or, nap in the corner or whatever, I'm going to sort of expand my search. The first thing will be just a quick perusal of what's there, titles and maybe a bit of content just to see if something interesting pops up. But other than that, I'm looking for anything that we've been interested in. The pool that was supposed to remove hag stench, especially the travel platforms we need to go to. Let's see, what else were we interested in around here? Can't remember. That's the big things is we needed to go to the pool, we need to go to the travel platform, and we're getting distracted from all of that. Yes, looking for things on the Droon and the lady, but also looking for things for our larger goal, or if anything of interest pops up, like I come across a title that says, 50 great curses or something like that. Magic, great put down, take it either way.
nice. Are you doing anything? All right, so you're going through the library. I understand. I get your plan. What's everybody else doing?
I mean, Jontor's just going to drink with the squires until it looks like it's breaking up, and then he'll head for bed. No great plans there.
Yeah, Felix is just sparring as long as Lord Rickon wants to.
Okay.
He'll spar with any of the other knights if anyone decides they want.
All right.
I think Basil will be pretty tired from his hard day of training. He probably would turn in. How much freedom would do we have, or like kind of roam the halls? So
Well,
what Zofan would probably do is just like walk around and kind of admire and look at the different tapestries and kind of artwork.
you and Basil would go down to the basement and there's a door that leads like this tunnel. You realize you're going probably into the rock, and you come out where the knights hang out. Now you could easily just take that door and go right back into the keep,
Okay. So yeah, he's gonna do that and then like
Okay.
just stroll around the halls
Okay.
and just kind of like almost like he's like perusing an art gallery.
All right. Nice.
And yeah, like he doesn't have any goals in mind. I think like other than like looking at that, but like also he tried to want to get like a map, like a mental map of the keep, of its layout inside, just in case that becomes useful information to know. He wants to try to get a sense of like really kind of get the intuition of where things are and how to navigate and where certain rooms are in the quarters and stuff.
Okay. That sounds. You definitely can peruse the first floor that you were on. Like you're wandering, kind of like looking at the different tapestries. You realize it's kind of historical, probably related to the house, and the history of the house, history of the Dolmenwood. You do know you're being watched, so you'd probably, because there's really not a direct shot. You realize this winds back and forth, and there are doors and sort of curtains that kind of go to different rooms, and then you go past like a big fireplace, and in the shadows every once in a while you would catch somebody watching you.
Yeah, because I think Zofan would smile a little bit, like have a small smile and then just like continue. He's not gonna like go into any rooms or
Right,
especially knowing that he's being watched.
Yeah, and you can get kind of like a mental layout of what the first floor is like.
Okay.
So you have kind of an idea. If you're doing that, nobody's bothering you. That's not hard to do.
Okay. Yeah, eventually he would make his way back to our quarters.
Yeah. So yeah, you're kind of, going, you're doing your mental mapping tourist type thing, and one of the servants kind of bumps into you, not literally, but passes you in the hallway. Oh, can I help you?
I'm just admiring the family artwork, the tapestries and such. I'm unfamiliar with and he just kind of gestures with the historical aspects of the Harrowmoor family and the Dolmenwood at large. So this is all very new and interesting to me.
Yeah, kind of like looks at the same tapestry you're looking at, like probably has no clue what it is. Oh yeah, they're holding like some food that they're taking out.
He looks down at that. Are you gonna eat that?
If you want more of the white beans, sure. I just kind of hands you the bowl.
I wouldn't mind some white beans. Do you have a spoon?
It's already in there.
Okay, so yeah, he just starts.
It's got a bowl seat.
A bowl of
the
beans.
halls.
Beans can be a dessert. There's red bean ice cream, so why not have white beans for dessert?
There are white beans in ice cream, or not ice cream, but in dessert and like Vietnamese food. It's very unusual. I've had it before.
Perfect. I had no idea.
Yeah, you can peruse. Like I said, get after a while, head back. Other than that, it's just Orion looking through the books. Yeah, that night eventually will be like, I gotta get up. I gotta do training in the morning. He's like nodding off.
Well, I'll ask him to tell me how to get back to our quarters when I'm finished.
He says there should be a servant outside the door here. Once you leave the library, they'll escort you.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a couple minutes after he leaves and then do my plan. It's not like I'm looking for the lost treasure or anything, but look through the book, see if anything pops out. If not, look for anything of interest to our various topics that we're trying to get done.
Okay. All right. So, Orion, give me 4 D6 rolls separately.
4 separate D6. A 4. We have a 1. We have a 6. And we have another 6.
Okay. So you are searching the books.
Okay.
Eventually, the poor knight is just way too tired, and he has to be up in the morning. You're getting bits and pieces here or there, but you do pull out a book and find a book called The Lithian Secrets. And it talks about, as you read it, you realize that it's talking about that well that they were talking, that you've heard about.
The well is supposed to wash off hag stench, but we were warned that it also did things like randomly mutate you.
Yeah. So it basically talks about that the lake has some sort of enchantment because it is, let's say, I guess maybe not the term polluted, but fairy has affected the water. And there is some sort of gate that's close to the well that has basically made the water magical. And there are accounts of creatures or some sort of race of creatures that inhabit the lake, that live in somewhere underneath, that seize on those who bathe in the lake and take them below.
Ooh, of course, nothing could ever be simple. Okay, forearmed is forearmed.
See, these creatures also, as this person is giving accounts, will say that there are those who stayed near where the lake was, like right on the lake shore, and have traded with these creatures to allow safe passage into the water.
Ah, so maybe we can talk to them. Okay, that's interesting.
But any kind of ailment people have had has been cured as long as they stay in a certain amount of time, and you would guess it's, probably within about an hour, whether it's some sort of curse that they've had or some sort of horrible injury, they have been cured. One person claims that they went in and, they didn't know a particular language or whatever. And then all of a sudden they went in, and not only was their curse cured, but they were able to read this particular language. Another person went in and all their scars and things were gone, and they were a lot fairer than they used to be. And then someone else said that, yeah, I used to not be able to use, my right arm, but it is fully functional and fixed. But now I have an insatiable hunger for raw root vegetables that I eat all the time.
I get that.
Now, you get an insatiable hunger for goat jerky.
And then someone claims that they saw somebody grow a pig snout. In all the
Great.
cases, everybody's affliction has been cured, but the lake sort of causes some sort of effect that may be negative or positive, depending on.
Right. Okay.
You get this book, right? You're like, wow, this is good. You're reading it. You hear the door to the library open.
Okay. I don't have to start or act guilty.
No, and you realize Lady Harrowmoor is entering. She looks to be in her same attire.
Okay.
And she comes over and she says, you found something of interest.
Yeah, no need to act guilty. But yeah, I'm afraid one of my company is afflicted with a curse, and I hold up the book and show her. Certainly sounds like an option, but the side effects seem to vary quite a bit.
Yes, there is a chance that you may end up with something else, but it's usually not as great as what you're suffering at the moment.
An interesting place, certainly. So, my lady, are you merely checking on your guests, or do you enjoy a spot of late-night reading?
Oh, sometimes I do enjoy perusing the library in the dead of night sometimes when I can't sleep. It offers me a bit of comfort. I apologize for the rather disorganized nature, but unfortunately, for those who are outside the manor, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But for those of us who use the library, we are accustomed to the unique organization of it.
No need to apologize. Everybody, this is your personal library as much as anything else. Everybody organizes their personal space to their particular taste.
And she says, well, appreciate that. If there's anything else you need, there is a servant outside that will surely escort you to rest this evening.
Well, I'm almost done, and I certainly need my beauty rest as much as anybody does. I'll be out here shortly, and I much appreciate your allowing me to peruse your library.
Oh, thank you. And she kind of looks at some of the books on the shelf, and she kind of drifts back through the books and the shelves to another part of the library.
I'm not going to be stupid enough to crane my neck around and look at her, but I will instead focus my hearing and try to see if she's doing, is she triggering a secret door, or is she just pulling a book off the shelf there?
10-15 minute passes, and you hear what sounds like an unlocking, and then you hear something lock back.
Okay, well, again, I'm deliberately not looking around, apparently still focusing on my book.
Okay, it is just quiet other than you.
All righty. If I don't find much else, I will wander down to our accommodations.
Okay.
Are all of us sleeping in the same general area?
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm going to see if I can't find Flintock.
You easily find him.
Loudly enough that, others can maybe hear. I'll ask him about it. Is this like a pick your own or what? And then quietly I'll say, there's a hidden door in the library. If you feel up to it, I'll give you more specific directions.
Do pray tell.
Well, I will tell him how to get to the library and, which shelf or which aisle you go down, and mention that I'm not entirely sure it's a door, but there's definitely some sort of latch mechanism back there that's hidden because I didn't see it when I was looking for it.
Well, we'll just see what the keep has to offer. Guess I'm staying up late.
I am going to bed, and unfortunately, I do not have any help to offer you. None of the druidic spells are for sneaky types.
No worries. I have this covered.
Well, yes, that's why I talked to you. Too bad Wilberforce isn't here.
Too bad.
You two could have some interesting adventures.
Dude, we did have some fun times while the rest of you off doing who knows what. Clintock is going to try and sneak away from the bunkhouse, so to speak.
Yeah.
Hopefully undetected, but maybe not necessarily.
Well, you got moved silent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very late. It's probably like 3:30, 4 a.m. or something.
Well, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you make your way through that tunnel out to that basement area, and you see, you walk down the hall, and there's a door, small little wooden door that's iron banded, and the door is locked.
First, we'll start by trying to open the hole. Take my reroll for the night.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Much better. 29 gets me under my 35 for open lock.
Okay. No one seems to notice. You unlock the door.
Slink in.
Okay. It's like I described. It's there's bookshelves. There's some sort of order to this, but who the hell knows, what it is.
It's not arranged by color or by author.
No, it's...
Yeah, something more obscure. Well, I will go where Orion described and start searching there for, I guess maybe this is, I don't know if you want like find or remove traps, if that's like the equivalent of the kind of role that I'm making.
Well,
or something else.
If you're going to take your time
Yeah.
right, and do it, you'll eventually find it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He kind of described what he, you'd have some idea what he...
Yeah.
Right. So basically we'd say you take a turn to find it. Okay. Orion. So about the time that she entered and the time that you told Clintock, how much time had passed? What would you say?
Did she come back out?
No, she never came back out.
Oh, I would have mentioned that. Sorry, I hate.
That's fine.
I would have mentioned that as an important point. Because I don't want him to, I'm not setting him up to get discovered. Lady Harrowmoor went in, didn't come out. I would have basically told Clintock as soon as I got back to the sleeping area.
And Clintock would not care.
Oh, yeah.
The more fun, the merrier.
You eventually find, it's like there's a bookshelf, one of the bookshelves that's set against the wall, which is basically the rock of the granite rock of this, that the manor is built on.
Sure.
And you find it sort of unlocks. You got to kind of twist through, but it unlocks and reveals like a little passage.
Nice.
Do you have any kind of light source?
Yeah, I have a candle.
Very good. Okay. So you have the candle lit. You're walking down this stone passage that's been cut out of the rock. There's definitely been foot traffic in here, as you can tell, because of the dirt.
Nice.
You walk for a good bit, probably 5 minutes, as the path, it kind of like twists, goes down and up and turns. And eventually you begin to hear the groaning lock. And there's some sort of music in the air, like somebody playing an instrument, like a flute.
I will be very quiet and attempt to approach.
And you finally get to the end of this passage. And when you look outside in the night, you are like at the edge, you're like at the cliff, and the lock just drops down 200 feet. Looks like goes into nothingness.
Crazy.
And you're like right on the edge. And as you're kind of like looking around and, with your candle, and you instantly notice 50 feet away, you see Lady Harrowmoor floating in the air. And she looks like she's playing some kind of flute. And that's where the music is coming from.
Intriguing.
And as you kind of see her floating, and then your eyes kind of adjust, and all of a sudden you start to see some kind of like jelly-like creature right next to her, like beyond her. sight. It almost looks translucent, but as the night light kind of reflect, you realize this thing is like some sort of jellyfish or something. And it is massive, and you can see it's got like these tentacles that are like floating around in the air. Now that you realize what you're looking at,
Dang, I will take the opportunity to duck back and hide in the shadows and put out my candle.
okay,
Shockingly succeeded on that one.
all right,
It's 20 out of 30.
okay,
And I'm just gonna try and wait out. Like I'll just stick around until this is done and like watch what happens.
okay. Probably another hour passes. It is not light yet, and you hear footsteps coming down the passage. It is Lady Harrowmoor. She is walking very slowly back towards, where you had entered, where the bookcase was. I'm assuming you're hiding in this passageway, kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let out a silent applaud or a near silent applaud and say, that was a rather marvelous performance this evening, my dear.
Oh my!
Oh, sorry to startle you.
Oh Lord Clintock, I didn't expect to find you here. Are you lost?
Great.
I didn't expect to find you here either.
Well, that is kind of interesting. I do live here.
Oh, I just assumed this was an old secret passage. I didn't imagine anyone used it still. And to my surprise, I found you playing such a lovely flute this evening.
Yes.
Oh, believe this is fun. Oh boy. Okay.
Also, you seem to be especially light on your feet.
I have that ability at times.
Well, it was a beautiful view of the loch this evening. I'm sure that inspired your song.
Yes. Like I said, the lock has a way of growing on you.
See. And was this a skill that your great grandfather and your father passed on to you? The flute playing, that is.
Yes, of course.
How long does the flute playing go back?
It has been in our house for a long, long time.
Before you arrived here?
Oh, yes. Before I have, yes.
Well, anyways, I best be seeing myself off to bed. It is getting quite late. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to just praise you on your fantastic skills. Do you mind showing me the way back? I'm not sure. I think I've got turned around a bit.
Yes. She kind of like puts her hand on your shoulder like she's like very tired. Yes, I will let you show you the way back and shuffle back the passage again and
Yeah.
walks you through the library and she says your accommodations are that way.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I think I know where I'm at now. Bid you adieu. And then he leans, he like grabs her hand, leans in and like kisses her hand and then walks away.
Okay. All right. So you return. So the morning comes and you guys are waking up, doing your thing.
Clintock sleeps in.
Yeah, I bet he would.
Yeah, you gotta have at least a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Orion will take a moment when nobody else is around to ask Clintock if he found anything interesting.
Oh, quite interesting. I seem to have found some cephalopods of some sort, rather large ones that happen to live in the loch, it seems. Oh, also the lady is well acquainted with them.
What? He cavorts with squids in the loch?
It would appear so.
That's not the weirdest thing I've heard in Goldenwood.
Oh, you're okay, and she's not suddenly trying to sacrifice this to the great squid god.
She seems like a very interesting person, at the very least.
Yeah, I think maybe we figured out a little bit of what the grumbling in the loch might be.
The squids are hungry.
That's my guess.
They demand to feed on ships. I mean, giant squid are known to do that.
I mean, I've heard crazier.
Right.
I could tell you all sorts of tales about krakens at sea. How many annual casualties there are. That's why I always do a special ritual before we sail off, just for good luck.
I think if we need to have safe passage through the loch, we might be able to find ourselves a way to do such a thing. I know we were, in theory, going to use it before we understood that we couldn't actually use it. So maybe this will find us a shorter route to our cure.
Oh, speaking of which, I found some interesting things in the library about the lake we're intending to go to. The very short version of it is it's probably fake. It does actually cure whatever you've got as long as you stay in there for a while. But A, it's also inhabited and the inhabitants may object. And B, you may pick up other odd ailments or benefits. along with your cure. A bit of risk, a bit of a reward, but there's a hint that the locals know how to treat with the lake inhabitants. So perhaps we can remove that element of risk by working with them.
Gotcha. Well, we'll try our best, but that doesn't sound like quite the easy solution as we'd once thought it might be.
Frankly, I'm still interested in doing it because, well, I now remember kissing the hag twice, and I don't want every other potential partner I have in this world complain about me smelling like mothballs.
When you've kissed a hag, you've kissed every hag that hag has ever been with.
I'm going to hurt you, you bastard.
Does that mean, Orion, you've kissed like hundreds of people?
I've had my share of girlfriends, but I didn't need the hag image, that's for sure.
I think she'd be so proud.
Oh, right. The guy who always talks about the hot mamas, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot is subjective after all.
He is welcome to all the hot hags he wants. Me, I'm trying to get away from him. Thank you very much.
All right. So, anything else you want to do at the keep before you leave?
Nope, nothing for my characters.
Nothing I can think of. Basil or Zofan would want to do.
All right. Okay. Yeah, they give you some food to take with you. Sir Rickon will lead you back with his new squire, Johan. Wes, give me a D6 roll.
4.
Okay. So you leave the keep. It is, oh yeah, the weather. It is a bright and fresh spring day, completely different from what it was yesterday.
Nice.
And make your way down the Harrow Road. Let's see. Russell, give me a D6 roll.
All right. Looks like a 5.
So you're making your way through this tangled like forest and this pass. And sometimes the cart just barely gets through the passage as all the trees are starting to, they've kind of overgrown and they're growing into the road as everything is turning green. And on your way back to Prigwort, Dustin, a D6 roll.
4.
And you've successfully made it back to Prigwort without a single random event. You enter Prigwort. It is the 17th day of Simswald. It's probably late the afternoon because Clintock slipped in and probably took a nap on the cart. He'd probably do that.
Oh yeah, he slept in, but then he would also sleep in the cart as well.
So you are back in Prigwort. Anything you wish to do?
Well, drop off find out where Karn is and drop off his meal and express the lady's regrets that he wasn't there for it.
Yeah, I will see if Daphne has heard from Ogsbody at all about the letter.
Yes, she has. And let's see. Let's give me a D6 roll.
1.
So tomorrow is supposed to be their meeting.
Oh, nice.
That's the council meeting?
No, that's Daphne's meeting with Ogsbody.
Yes, this is the meeting to fake needing Ogsbody's advice so that somebody can steal his boots, go to Ogsbody's house through the gatehouse that's like the side entrance, and then go and see what is actually in his quarters, assuming the boots are the key to teleporting using the dais that's in Ogbody's place. Because Daphne has a strict no shoes policy in her house.
Gotcha.
This was just like a silly riff on the fact that we were asked to take our shoes off when we went into her house. And having learned that it was probably his boots that were the key to unlocking the teleport.
And you used a random fact to help set yourself up.
Yep.
Perfectly amusing. Yep.
Anything else anybody would like to do?
I will go to House Oberon and see how Peabody made out with visiting the tailor.
See if you need twist the tailor's arm for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you go over there to the 1-story stone mansion with pillars and the security that they have. Of course, Peabody immediately comes out. You don't have to ask for him. He comes running out. Lord Clintock.
Seeing much nicer clothes.
No, he's in the same clothes he had before when you saw him.
Did you happen to meet with Brandybottle yesterday?
Thank you, Lord Clintock. Exactly. I was able to meet with him. I appreciate your efforts.
Was he able to fulfill all of your requests?
Yes. They're currently being worked on right now.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I've held up my end of the bargain. I look forward to you holding up yours.
Yes, the council meeting is 21st, and whatever you need.
So be it then. On the day of, you'll have a note from me as to how to vote on particular affair.
I've been also working on that brew that you told me to work on, so
Ah, yes.
present that as well.
I look forward to it. We'll be finished before the council meeting.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Oh, well, you know our accommodations. If you wouldn't mind sending some over to us, I would be pleased to give my input.
Yes, I will. I will do that.
A keg if it's not too much to ask.
He has a very worried look on his face. Yes, a keg, it will. I'll get it to you.
Well, I'll let you back to your work.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
That's all.
John Tor's whole thing is check out every beer in town, and he hasn't hit all of them yet. So, or maybe get a brewery. He'll go pester a brewery about, back where I live, you can get a brewery tour,
They're kind of disinclined to do that. They've heard that something was stolen from at Og's party, and they're kind of not interested in giving out tours at this point.
Well, can you tell me where the local places that serve your brew then? I want to try them all.
Yeah, I mean, if you go down to Earl's Court, you can eventually run into everybody who's going to serve you something, because they're always got people out there sampling beer and spirits and whatever else they have.
I guess I'll go to Earl's Court again. That's too bad. I understand that was a sort of wild party. We got attacked by the shrubs, but it turned out it was somebody just animating him so they could steal the lady's necklace.
All right, so tomorrow you've got Daphne has her meeting with Ogbody, and then 3 days after that, you have a council meeting you're going to go to.
Yeah, and can you remind me again how long or how far away Fort Volker is from here? So one of the potential criminals working for House Oberon, one of the sailors,
Dock workers.
stock workers in Fort Volker.
But you also know that a certain Basil Bessex had a vision with somebody, and that person told you in the vision that they got hired by this strange person who came to town.
That's true.
Yes.
We haven't tracked down that person yet, so maybe that's another thread.
I thought we had a name.
Bruco.
Yeah, Basil arm wrestled Bruco.
No, he's the one that never made it. He was all big and burly, and you were about to do it, and that's when the dockmaster came in and pushed him aside.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I remember. I remembered the name, and I remembered that he was there. But
Yeah, no, that's fine.
okay, we saw Bruco.
Yeah, we might need a witness, so to speak. I don't know how willing Bruco is, but I'm sure we can twist his arm in one way or another.
The dockmaster. Well, she might feel conflicted, especially if Bruco's a helping hand.
Yeah, we can find a replacement for him.
Well, she did mention in your vision that she wanted them alive, because she said it was hard to find good work, and though they were whatever, she said, they're not that great, but at least there's something. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure she said not to kill them.
Okay.
At least that was her request,
But how far away is Fort Volker again? Sorry.
I think 2 days maybe. Yeah.
Do they have like the equivalent of like carrier pigeons or something to get a message faster?
Yeah, they'll have some sort of bird messenger service.
Attempt to create a forgery, penning a note to Bruco that this is his one-time boss that has a new job for him, but it would require him to take some vacation, visit like out of town we're in right now. Sorry,
Prigwort.
Yeah, visit Prigwort's, and he'll make it worth his travel and his time off, his lost wages, so to speak.
Okay.
And he'll just sign it off, yours truly, and then your benefactor.
Okay. So you send it via the BMS, the bird messaging service.
Yes.
They send it out to Fort Volker.
How much does it cost me to send a message?
I mean, not much. A gold piece would be sufficient. Would get
Okay.
you,
Gotcha.
oh, this is one of our good birds. This is not one of the it's not one that's been known to go off course at times, and
The questionable gaggle.
Yeah. It's won several bird messaging races.
yeah.
I missed part of that. What are you guys trying to get this guy to do with the message?
Oh, just get him to show up in town, since it would be too long for us to do anything to like go there and try and convince him in one way or another. Just trying to convince him via message that there's a hefty amount of gold over here in Prigwort's if he shows up to do some work for his like previous boss.
Okay. I don't feel like making a trip. Let's see if we can pull the guy to come here. Okay. Perfectly fine.
We got other things going on.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to visit the well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not exactly a well.
Or the
Orion will, of course, share everything he found in the library about lake, well, pond, whatever the hell that is. Apparently, it's big enough for things to live in it, so not exactly a well.
How long will it take us to go to the well from where we're at? I'm trying to remember where on the Dolmenwood map that is.
Yeah, it's a good question. It is in the eastern section of the map. Let's see. Do you guys have the map that's like style? It says Prigwort, Harrowmoor Keep. Is that the map you guys have?
Yeah, I see.
Is the Groaning Lock on there?
Yeah, it's like between Moorkeep and Prigwort, at least on this map.
So is this the map you're looking at talking about?
Yeah, that was the one.
Gotcha. All right. You see my cursor?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So Prigwort, there's the Groaning Lock, there's Harrowmoor Keep. Actually, Harrowmoor Keep's supposed to be like on this side.
Oh,
Whatever.
Yeah.
There's the Abbey.
Yep.
Right? There's Fort Vulgar. That lock is somewhere over here.
got it.
So basically, what the friar would say is like, you probably want to go and take a known path. He's got to go to Castle Brackenwold because there's somebody he's got to bury there, and I think he said there's somebody in Lakeshore or near here. So he would say definitely take the main passage. You can go this way to the Woodcutter's Lodge and try to get across, or take this path here to Lakeshore. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like a full day to get there. It's going to be like 3 days to get there, I would guess. The friar says he has no problem accompanying you if that's what you wish. I mean, but he would go to Brackenwold first, since it's on the way, and then make the way over. He said, but he would definitely get a guide to find the well.
Got it. So
And you can find somebody in Lakeshore, or it might be somebody in Brackenwold, but it's probably somebody in Lakeshore in the area that knows how to find the wells.
Got
You
it.
don't
Okay.
want to be roaming around in the high wold in that area because it's bad news.
And where's the gate we need to eventually get to get out of here?
Right here, Migrid's Reach.
Opposite the way we need. Great. It's backing across the whole damn place.
Yep.
Well, seems like we need to get going then.
Well, if you guys want, you're welcome to head out without Clintock. But Clintock has to stay for the council meeting in like 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is.
Split the party.
That's fair.
We can either
That's
preoccupy ourselves and do it after the fact. We surely have
Yeah,
to.
I'm gonna wait. I'd rather wait. Paul is around and we can discuss that before we make that decision. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, just his characters are affected too. I can just hear BB right now, you know. Not only did you not rob Lady Harrowmoor, now we're going out in the middle of the woods where there's nobody to rob.
You know, that is a thought. I mean, one group could head out to do one thing and the other group stay behind and catch up. I don't care.
Both Zolfan and Basil would want to be going to get cured.
You know, A, John Tor doesn't have hag stench on him, and B, you're asking him to walk away from a brew town. No, he will happily stick around and play lackey to Clintock if that's what it takes, as long as he can hit the bars regularly. Orion, of course, would be planning for the expedition and trying to figure out how to get there, and so he can wash off the hag stench and maybe pick up something new and exciting in the way of powers or disabilities. Who knows? He could maybe work up a act around having a pig snout.
What would Felix want to do?
Felix would go on the adventure, assuming that he would be more likely to have to fight something.
Yeah. Let's see what Paul wants to do. And that's probably a good place
Who
to.
knows?
Yeah, there were at least 4 random, well, 3 and 4. I did roll one. There were 4 chances for random things to happen. One was pretty big, but it did not happen. So, hey.
Always leave it for another day.
Yeah, that's always the thing. It was like, well, should I decide I'm going to do this, or should I started doing this as a random thing, and I was like, should I keep it random or should I just do this? I was like, I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to keep it random.
You'll have plenty of other opportunities to drop shit on us. We're basically trekking across half the Dolmen Woods one way, and then all the way back across the Dolmen Woods the other way. So plenty of opportunities.
Remind me again, the issue is traveling across any of these bodies of water.
So yeah, like Lake Longmere
Yeah.
has got
Oh,
Old Chook. What was it? Old Chook.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
know that nobody puts ships in the water.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's-
remember all the people in the bar we got to first had like old Chook tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Friar south of Lakeshore, and I guess it's not on that map, is a place called High Hankel, and I know the Friar needs to go there as well. So that's why he's kind of like, yeah, I don't mind going with you guys. I've got places I need to go. So
Sure, local. I mean, it sounds like going to the castle first would be an extra day, but having a local guide would be, I won't say invaluable, but the fact that he's banged around these woods so much makes it, he must know how to avoid some of the trouble, or he wouldn't have managed to bang around these woods so much. My vote's going to be follow the Friar until we get to, what was it, Lakeshore. Then, like he said, hire a Lakeshore, and then hire a guide from there, like he said. And then we'll, of course, have to get all the way back across to get out of here. And in the meantime, of course, we'll come back to Prigwort and see just exactly how Flintock has managed to overturn this ship.
yeah.
Orion will be, of course, telling John Tor, you better take good notes. Whatever Clintock does, I don't care if he's just sitting down and taking a shit. I want to know. That man is a story generator.
I want detailed descriptions.
If we do the split where we've got one group doing one thing,
Yeah.
Dustin, that's fine. You can both your characters go to the well. We'll just come up with a character for you to play.
Okay.
Because I don't want to leave you out too long in one scenario,
Thanks for running, Pete.
Well, thank you guys. A little bit
Yeah.
slower tonight, but
That's all right.
That's okay. They can't all be life and death.
no.
Sooner or later, we have to recover from all this shit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks again. Take care.
Take care. Have a good one.
All right.
It's just swimming with gold in it.